And so this is Christmas. And what have you done? Another year over and a new one just begun. And so this is Christmas. I hope you have fun. The near and the dear one, the old and the young. One of the truly great Christmas songs. Greetings, friends, Shabbat Shalom. Yes, this is Christmas. And no, you don't have to be Christian to wish peace on earth, goodwill, man, on everyone you know. Just as you do not need to be Jewish to understand the life-giving properties of chicken soup. This is a time of year when people look for and find faith. And believe it or not, that is something we seek, but not something biblical man ever sought or ever thought to. Remember, to ancient biblical man, there was no such thing as faith. They simply knew. They knew God existed. There was no belief and no concept of belief as we understand it. We do not know that anymore. Yes, some do, but really so many of us don't. How different would your life be if you knew? Well, perhaps you would understand that everything happens for a reason. Perhaps you would understand that you were part of a greater whole, connected to everything else. Perhaps you would understand your own ability to manifest everything that happens. And perhaps you would understand the power of love and the gift of forgiveness, the one law and the one ritual that keeps you well. And because several people wrote and asked me for the Change of Seasons ritual, I sent it out to all, and I hope you received it. If not right, and I will make sure you do get it, and I hope you had and have a great change of season. This is the season of bringing light back into your lives, growing each day, my friends, and of course, at this time of the year, post-Second Temple Biblical Man had a choice of 3 celebrations. The Roman festival of Saturnalia, of Saturn, the planet which governs this time of the year, took place at the solstice to celebrate light coming back into life. And it was celebrated by feasting with friends and family and giving gifts. Or you could celebrate the festival of Hanukkah and celebrate light coming back into your life, growing daily over an 8-day period. And ultimately, in order to celebrate, Christians moved the birth of Christ from March to the winter solstice time to celebrate Jesus as the great light. Hey, as they say, name your poison. And as someone else would say, just do it. Celebrate the light. Now this week is of course the concluding act of 2015, and it is the concluding act of Genesis. Things are about to change. The world will never be the same. God as you got to know him or her is about to change. The world and this book began with a bang. But as T.S. Eliot told us, this is the way the world ends, not with a bang, but with a whimper. Now, have you noticed the Parsha titles lately? Vayera, Vayetze, Vayeshlach, Vayeshev, Miketz, Vayagash. Wow, how did Miketz get in there? Well, you can almost feel the rush to the conclusion. And he appeared, and he went out, and he sent, and he settled at the end, and he went over. And now, Vayechi, and he lived. Genesis 47:28. And Jacob lived in the land of Egypt 17 years. Notice a few things, my friends. Continue to notice how numbers are set, and notice bookends that appear. What incredible symmetry. Just as Joseph was in the lap of Jacob 17 years before he was sold, Jacob was now in the lap of Joseph 17 years. Then we switch names again, as Israel calls Joseph to him. Genesis 47:29. And Israel's day to die drew close. And he called his son Joseph and said to him, if I have found favor in your eyes, place your hand under my thigh and practice kindness and faithfulness with me. Don't bury me in Egypt. He knows he is dying, and he is about to give a really strange blessing. But notice the death vow. Hands under the thighs of the dying father. So if you had any doubt as to whether Abraham was dying when he sent his servant to find Isaac his wife, wonder no more. The vow with hands under thighs is the deathbed vow. Abraham's servant made it. Joseph will make it. As a perfect symbol of what this family has been about, he takes Joseph's 2 sons as his own. The language Jacob uses, moreover, is the formula of legal adoption. And he may have taken them because his one beloved wife out of his 4 only provided 2 sons. And so his elevating these 2, who are the sons of his favorite, while diminishing his own, shows that he really has not changed in all these years. He's keeping them for himself. But he tells Joseph that any future children he has, he can keep. Wow. Well, get ready for more karma. Genesis 48:10. And Israel's eyes were heavy from old age. He was not able to see. Just like his father Isaac was not able to see and blessed the wrong son, Jacob can't see and will again bless the younger over the firstborn. And Joseph saw that his father had placed his right hand on Ephraim's head, and it was bad in his eyes. But Joseph said to his father, "Not like that, my father, because this is the firstborn. Set your right hand on his head." And his father refused and said, "I know, my son. I know." Notice, my friends, the old man says he knows what he is doing. This is a kind of summarizing thematic ideogram of the book of Genesis. The right hand of the father conferring the blessing reaches across to embrace the head of the younger brother. And the elder, his head covered by the old man's left hand, receives a lesser blessing. It is almost all that we have seen. Now, before he can die, Genesis 49, Jacob calls his sons to him for the strangest blessing in history. But he does it not as a blessing, but more of a series of predictions. Gather round, that I may tell you what shall befall you in the days to come. Genesis 49:28. All these are the tribes of Israel, 12, and this is what their father spoke to them, and he blessed them. He blessed them each according to his blessing. Now notice the strange things he says. Reuben is demoted from firstborn preeminence, 49:4. Simeon and Levi are condemned to be scattered, 49:7. The fourthborn Judah is the one to receive praise, success, and dominion. The scepter shall not pass from Judah. And we know that that later means perpetual kingship. As the players tried to take the field, the marching band refused to yield. The kingship would never be yielded from this line. Jacob's testament to his first three sons has actually been nothing but curses. And notice also, Levi is a tribe deprived of inheritance, with no hint of its priestly function and the connected privileges, suggests a very early date for this passage. And scholars have suggested that this, in fact, is one of the earliest parts of the Torah, perhaps from as early as 1000 before the Common Era. It's a very antique poem, with more archaic language, and accordingly, it has proven very difficult for translators to actually fully understand. Now, continuing with the blessing, Zebulun and Issachar are nothings. Dan will be a snake on a road, a venomous snake on a path that bites a horse's heels, and its rider falls backward. Gad, Asher, Naphtali, nothings. Now, when I read this, I was taken back to the first great underground rock group of all time, the Village Fugs, and their landmark album, The Village Fugs Sing Ballads of Contemporary Protest, Points of View, and General Dissatisfaction. I think you got to go back to 65 for that. My friends, if you do not know that band, it was made up of some of the great beat poets of the time. Monday, nothing. Tuesday, nothing. Wednesday and Thursday, nothing. Friday, for a change, a little more nothing. Saturday, once more, nothing. Well, the verse they do in Yiddish is even better. Joseph will be blessed, and Benjamin's a wolf. Wow, I'm really missing the blessing part in all of this. Think of it. His sons, treated like second-class citizens their whole lives while he revered Joseph, come together to be blessed, and this is what they get. How many of them would have loved to have said, I wish that for just one time you could stand inside my shoes, and for just that one moment I could be you. Yes, I wish for just one time you could stand inside my shoes. You know what a drag it is to see you. And it is interesting to see the name of God that he invokes, Shaddai. May he bless you. Blessings of the heavens above. That is a name not heard in many, many years, which also attests to the age of this poem. And he tells them to bury him in the family cave, Machpelah, the one Abraham bought in Hebron, and where Abraham and Sarah, Isaac and Rebekah, and Leah were buried, and where rumor has it, Adam and Eve were also buried. And again, notice the larger bookends, my friends. Genesis ends with this strange blessing, which will replay when Moses announces his strange blessing on the 12 tribes at the end of the Torah in Deuteronomy. Well, Jacob dies, Genesis 52. And Joseph commanded his servants, the physicians, to embalm his father, and the physicians embalmed Israel. Now, we all know how expert the Egyptians were at embalming, a process designed to support their belief in the afterlife and the rebirth of the soul. This is certainly something a sojourning family of shepherds would not have been engaged in. And this is the first time we read about the steps being taken in preparing to lay to rest a patriarch. Isaac and Ishmael buried Abraham. Jacob and Esau buried Isaac. Joseph does this. And they spent 40 days on him, because that is the number of days they spent on the embalming, and Egypt mourned him 70 days. Well, the embalming process in creating a mummy was complicated and costly, and it was surrounded with ceremony and ritual. The process lasted 70 days, and the corpse was to be dried for a period of 40 days. And that was for the highest echelon of the Egyptians. Poor people were not treated the same way. So whoever Joseph was, whoever Jacob was, this person being embalmed was of the highest of the high. And now, for those of you interested, the brain was one of the few organs the Egyptians did not try to preserve. They weren't sure what it was for, but they assumed you wouldn't need it in the next world. And judging by the world today, it would appear a lot of people did not bring it with them. And who goes to bury him? Genesis 57. And Joseph went up to bury his father, and all of Pharaoh's servants, the elders of his house, and all the elders of the land of Egypt. The elders of the land of Egypt. Who was Joseph? They make the journey and they mourn 7 days. And the Canaanites see this and they say, this is a heavy mourning to Egypt. Not knowing who died, but knowing whoever it was extremely important. Well, they return, and in Genesis 50:15, and Joseph's brothers saw that their father was dead, and they said, if Joseph will despise us, he'll pay us back all the bad that we dealt to him. Fear and guilt. Well, I guess the apple does not fall far from the tree. But sometimes, with the death of a strong, dominant father comes growth and development, release from a grip of fear, guilt, and deception. I see my light come shining from the west down to the east. Any day now, I shall be released. Well, these ones, however, are not released, and they lie and deceive. Genesis 50:16. And they commanded to Joseph, saying, your father had commanded before his death, saying. Well, the brothers claim that Jacob commanded that Joseph should forgive them. Now, the reality is we don't know if they're making this up or not. Either way, it is the right message. After a parent's death, the children should try to heal any old wounds and draw close. Look at Isaac and Ishmael, Jacob and Esau. It is an age-old ritual that incorporates the forgiveness mechanism. It is just too bad it often takes death to initiate it. And his brothers also went and fell in front of him and said, here, we're your slaves. Now, this is the final ironic recompense in the chain of deceptions in this family. The brothers who once sold Joseph as a slave now say that they will be his slaves. And Joseph said to them, don't be afraid. You thought bad against me. God thought for good, in order to do it as it is today, to keep alive a numerous people. What insight. Well, Joseph then promises to care for them. Now, we have seen that each act of deception since Jacob began led to another deception that came as recompense. Thus, deceptions and hurts within a family can go on in a perpetual cycle in order to bring it to an end. One member of the family who is entitled to retribution must stop the cycle and forgive. Now, that is what Joseph does here. This beautiful end of the story of deceptions and retributions completes an intricately embroidered narrative. Joseph stopped the cycle and forgave. Friend, during these few days before Christmas, it is a time many people reflect on Jesus' teaching on forgiveness. But he was simply carrying on what Esau and Joseph had mastered. And they're the only characters we've encountered who really understood that concept. We can all affirm to forgive those who have hurt us, and thank life for giving us a spirit that is forgiving and compassionate. And the Parsha and the book ends, and Joseph died, 110 years old, and they embalmed him and set him in a coffin in Egypt. And so we say goodbye to the Patriarch Tales, and the only book of the Bible that stands as a book on its own. So goodbye, Yellow Brick Road, where the dogs of society howl. Now notice, my friends, Genesis involves a continuous narrowing of attention from the universe to the earth to humanity to a particular family. Exodus begins to broaden the circumference of attention again as the family grows into a nation and comes into conflict with another nation. But that is another story. The world is sacred, my friends, and so is everything in it. Express your gratitude. Light a candle, make a wish. Celebrate your life and the lives of those you love. Share your feelings with them. Live free, be free. Honor your freedom. Be well, be happy, be blessed. Share and honor the light and all who live in the light and continue to shine. Continue to send everyone you know goodwill and love. Pray for peace and freedom for everyone, and end to terror and hatred. Remember, friends, we are a community. We learn together, we celebrate each other, we love each other. We share this ride together, men and women equally. Let us send out love, not fear. Send out peace, harmony, good healing to all who need it. And please do learn to forgive. Learn to love. Follow the call of freedom. The journey is yours to enjoy. Now, thank you all. Love you. See you all next time. But I do love seeing you all again. And remember, your wishes come true. And remember, it's not just God who sees all. In these last couple of days, remember, Santa sees you when you're sleeping. He knows when you're awake. He knows when you've been good or bad. So be good, for goodness sake. Have a wonderful Christmas week, my friends. Ask Santa for whatever you want. According to all the movies, it should come true. Hey, last year I said how nice it would be to find a new green field under the tree, and this is the year. Bless you all. Have a fantastic week, a week of loving and healing. Thanks and peace. The light is increasing in your life, so keep lighting the lights of miracles. Keep dreaming. Enjoy this wind down of the year. And thank you all for joining me. Shabbat Shalom.